round two.
Round two. Let's go.
Dude, welcome back.
Thank you, bro. Thank you very much.
That's the quickest round two I think anyone's ever had. I think there's definitely been people on for round twos, round threes, but never back-to-back weekends like this.
There you go, man. There you go. There's a first for everything. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How's everybody doing? Hopefully you all said good. If not, make it good.
Fuck yeah. I hope you're having a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever fucking time it is. But yeah, dude, how's your morning? What'd you get up to?
My morning was good,
training?
man. I woke up, slept in a little bit, woke up at 8, sent out some proposals to potential clients, went to the gym, trained a couple clients, did some jiu-jitsu, then darted over here, man, recording another podcast. Super excited.
Hell yeah, dude. Fuck, dude, that's a lot of training, man. Are you like, how many hours a day are you in a gym?
This is an excellent question. On the weekdays, physically actually in the gym, between 8 to 12, sometimes 14, depends on the day.
That's so sick, man.
And then weekends, like 4 to 7, depends on the day.
I fucking miss that, dude. That's the one thing I miss about being in the gym. I remember when I first got a job in the gym, during my interview, I was like, I just want to be paid to be in a gym all day. Like, that's all I want.
It's great vibes. It's great vibes.
It's so sick, man. And so, that's sick. You do like, did you do private sessions or classes today?
Private sessions. Yeah.
So sick. What do you like better?
I think I prefer private sessions just because it's so easy to then focus on one or two people, depending how many it is. You should always advise somebody to bring a partner, especially, for jiu-jitsu. It's way easier for them to have a partner because then they can see the move from the outside, and then I'm able to observe from the outside, watch them, make sure they do it well, make sure they get all the small details in between, and make sure they really encompass and learn everything within the technique. So, yeah, I prefer private lessons.
At what point did you feel confident enough in your jiu-jitsu that you were like, I can coach other people at this?
I would say when I got my purple belt. But I started coaching jiu-jitsu when I had my blue belt because I had my blue belt. I had my blue belt for a long time, man. I had my blue belt for 7 years, but I didn't train for like 4 of those. So 3.5-ish years total time at blue belt, actual time on the mat. And since I lived up in Prince George and there was only so many gyms, and it's where you've been training for like a year. Have you seen or experienced drama in the fitness community? Not really yet.
Not in this. Like my background before, actually, I was much bigger. I was into bodybuilding a lot. That's how I got into fitness. Actually, was like through bodybuilding. So I definitely saw a lot of drama in bodybuilding gyms.
Right.
Between different competitors for sure.
Right. So it gets like that, obviously, in kind of almost any industry, if you will. I've seen it in the office, on the fucking playground, who's the fastest kid, etc. It doesn't change as you get older. So back to the topic of this. We're in Prince George. There was a couple other gyms going on. Me, my buddy CJ, shout out CJ at Leglock Legion. So he was one of my original coaches.
Is that the guy that runs that Instagram account? Because I follow that Instagram.
Yeah.
He's
Leglock Legion. Yeah. So we get along very well. We get along handsomely. He's actually getting married in August, which is super exciting. So I'm totally hyped for that. But so we've been friends for 13 years. Yeah, I think 13 years. So we trained together, got along really well. He was a brown belt at the time. I was a blue belt. There was just some drama amongst all the other gyms in the community. So I got together with a couple buddies and we bought just some fucking puzzle mats. And then we would just like store them at the YMCA because I had a sponsored membership to the YMCA for like since I was like 14. And then we would just like set up like half inch puzzle mats. And we would just do jiu-jitsu like with the puzzle mats on the hardwood floor. And yeah. So I was teaching from the time that I was a blue belt, but I obviously lacked in a lot of areas, especially a blue belt. So my comfortability was like, hey, I can teach you like wrestling and I can teach you like basic stuff from guard, a little bit about ankle locks. And then CJ, when he would come in, he would give us more of a dynamic coaching style. But when I really got comfortable where I was like, I could teach somebody a little bit of everything was at purple belt. Yeah. I will say that because I just joined my second gym,
So at the first gym, I was explaining like there's some of the coaches there, and I'm not trying to like dog on them or like throw shade or anything like that, but there was like a lot of like what to do, a lot of what to do. And this new place that I'm at, one of the owners came and asked me, he's like, so like, how come you like this place better? And I was like, well, it's not just about like the what, it's like about the why and the how. It's more like the philosophy of learning like when you're doing these things or why you would want to move your body in certain positions. And I feel like that's like the biggest step in terms of like coaching other people how to do it, because like maybe there's some things I know how to do, but there's no way I could teach anyone like why you would do them or how you would do them, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's yeah, dude, it's something I was thinking about because I've got a couple buddies that like kind of like go and watch their buddies at tournaments and they're like coaching them and they're like, you know, like purple level, and I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, I wonder, like, cause there's no way I'd feel confident doing anything like
Right.
that, right? Like, as a shitty, like a green white belt,
Yeah,
like, there's
yeah.
no way I'd feel confident. So it's like a question I was thinking of. It's like, when do you have that confidence? When do you kind of, cause I feel like we were just chatting, like, you know, there's always that feeling of like, I know the more you know about what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I would say, yeah, it becomes, particularly when it comes to like coaching athletes while they're competing. So this is where I feel I'm stronger at some points, because some people, especially like, you know, said like the white belts, the blue belts, sometimes even purple belts. I remember even at like purple belt, I hardly listened while I was in the middle of a match. They're not always going to listen to your specific instructions during the course. And what I mean by that is, say they're setting up for a sweep, you're who you're yelling at, you have a name for the sweep, and maybe they don't recognize it by that title, so they're not going to fucking understand what you're talking about, so they're going to miss the instruction and maybe miss the opening until you both have that like synchronized mental bond. Meanwhile, if you're just like shouting them the instructions, like get the sweep, just get a sweep, giving them the basic instructions, get a sweep, pass the guard, attack, you have this much time left, I find people respond to that a lot better, because everyone when gets in there, mostly at a certain stage, they have an idea of what they're going to do and they're really going to stick to that until they have a more dynamic game plan, if you will. So I find feeding people that information, those kind of encouragements, those more basic instructions, they will then solve the puzzle or they won't. Sometimes they just don't. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, yeah. I know, like, I've only done one competition, and there was like 4 matches that I made it through. Um, and I remember, like, I watched the footage, and I can hear, like, my coach, my girlfriend, a couple buddies, like, watching me. They're, like, shouting at me, and I'm like, I literally don't even remember hearing anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, and it's probably just because it's like first competition, adrenaline's pumping, you're like a little bit nervous,
Fight or
anxious
flight
for
kicks
it.
in.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I literally don't even remember anyone yelling. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, it happens. Happens to me sometimes too, man. I remember I was at BCJJF, their summer tournament outdoors they had last year. What a sick event. Shout out BCJJF. We're going to shout out a lot of people just like we did last week. And my coach Ross was like in my corner, if you will, the side of the mat he was on. I remember he was yelling something at me, and I just couldn't make it out. And I was like, "What the fuck?" But I was like, I was going for like a head and arm choke, starting to feed it. We were in a really strong position, but I'm like going hard for this choke. Might have finished it, might have not. But then I was just like missing a tiny little point. There was like a sweep I could have got. And meanwhile, Professor Matt Kwan is really close to me. He's like, "Morgan, plant your foot and get the sweep." And I was like, "Oh." And I just got the sweep and put myself into an even more advantageous position, even though I didn't finish the submission. So it's sometimes you hear, sometimes you don't, sometimes you do. But I was a brown belt at that time, as I am now. So I was able to fully grasp what he meant when he said that, because I'd spent so many times under those repetitions. It was easy for me to pick up and go. Other people, when they're whites, blues, can be a little tougher.
What's like, because everyone kind of has their own definition, but like, what's like your definition for each of the belts that you've like kind of gone through as your progression? Like, that's just like something I'm curious about too. Like, how did you define yourself? Like, I guess like as a white belt, a blue belt, a purple belt, and now as like a brown belt. Like, what's like the biggest difference between each step for you?
Well, for me, because I came up through mixed martial arts, I never really like cared about jiu-jitsu. Like I liked grappling because I wrestled, but my idea was jiu-jitsu was when I started was I'm going to learn this so I can punch dudes in the face.
Right.
That was my idea. So my time spent was learning jiu-jitsu defensively, and I always even remember getting through jiu-jitsu class. I was like, oh, I just want to get to some sparring. I want to get to some wrestling. Like I want to get back to striking. Like yeah, so on and so forth. And then my MMA career started out very bad. I'm pretty sure at one point I was like 1-5. I think 1 win, 5 losses. But I was like taking crazy fights. Like I remember one fight I fought at bantamweight, and I remember I was getting my hair cut in Prince George. I was eating McDonald's. It was like 8:30 in the morning, and I got a call from a promotion down here in Vancouver, and like, hey, we need a last minute fight at 1:55. And they're like, you're gonna fight this dude, and I was like, okay, sick, I'm there, no problem.
What were you weighing at the time? Was that
Like
like a
149, and I fought a dude who for sure was not 155. That guy definitely cut weight, and he was a West Coast BJJ guy. I don't know if you know a lot about West Coast BJJ,
No,
but
no.
yeah, so they had a grading ceremony like only once a year. So if you missed it, you didn't get graded. So like, or it just took so long to grade guys. Maybe they like weren't ready at that grading ceremony, but next month they hit that skill level. But then they'd have the full 11 months. So I fought this bigger dude, really good at grappling, on like 6 days notice after eating McDonald's at 155. Yeah. So I started my career 1-5, and then eventually I hit this sick fucking winning streak. Like it was like 7 or 8 wins in a row. It was dope. And 5 of them were by armbar in the first round.
fuck?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, there's a thing to this jiu-jitsu thing. And then in 2012, I got my blue belt. I remember my manager at the time, who was also one of my coaches, he promoted me in his condo in Burnaby. And I remember I had like True Religions on and a fucking gi jacket, and he gave me my blue belt. And I was like, I could pull the picture up. It's still on my Facebook too.
That's the
Hilarious photo.
best. The Jeeds.
And from that point on, I was like, okay, I'm going to take this jiu-jitsu thing more seriously because clearly there's something to it. And then I realized, I was like, yo, I could not get hit in the head. Sick. I could win fights. This is dope. This is awesome. And I remember the fight after that, I won another fight by armbar. I remember the dude came out, this was at Battlefield 17 in Penticton. I remember this dude came out, threw a leg kick. I caught it, took him down, and armbarred him like about 20 seconds later. Not a single strike was thrown.
That's so sick. Other
Yeah.
than his failed kick.
Other than his failed kick, yeah. So that was when my love for jiu-jitsu really came in. So back to the question before I went off on this little tangent of a story. So as a white belt, I defined my jiu-jitsu as just learning how to stop other jiu-jitsu. As a blue belt, then I was like, okay, I want to really develop my jiu-jitsu so that like I can effectively dominate positions, control them. In 2014, I still had my blue belt. I was getting close to my purple belt. I stopped training. I picked up training again right at the end of 2017. So then it was just, I was trying to like learn jiu-jitsu all over again. But it was pretty cool. After like being back for 2 months, I jumped in like a blue belt division, went double gold. I was like, sick, let's go. Still
yeah.
got it. Still got it. So then it was just like, yeah, developing my game again, learning, relearning jiu-jitsu, resharpening the tools. Then in 2019, I got my purple belt. So then at that time when I got my purple belt, I was coaching full time. That was my job. That was my profession. So then it became a thing. I was like, okay, I need to learn a little bit of all jiu-jitsu, even a little bit. Even if I only do what I want to do when I'm competing, I need to know a little bit, because if I don't know a little bit to pass that knowledge on to my clients and my training partners, then they're going to lack in those areas. And that's not cool. I have a responsibility to them. And then now as I got my brown belt, I realized it's just about continuing to sharpen those tools, giving everybody else the tools they need to succeed, and then keep staying active, keep competing, and then just keep continuing to progressively get better, stay up to date on new modern systems, stay sharp with the old systems, because those are very, very important as well. And then, yeah, and then I'm going to get a black belt, and I'm going to be at the bottom of the food chain again. I'm going to realize I still suck.
That's so sick, man. That's fucking wicked. How do you kind of do you like anticipate that's gonna be coming soon, that black belt, or do you feel like it's like miles away? Like, how do you feel about that?
I'm very comfortable being at where I am. being at a brown belt. Like I don't feel like it's miles away, no, but it also depends on who you ask. But brown belt is a very competitive level. I want to get out and compete internationally at the brown belt level. Like I want to go to worlds. I want to do pans. I want to do all the big tournaments at brown belt, do a bunch of super fights. So I'm in no rush to leave. And when my time is, then my time will come. But I'm also not interested at being considered a black belt and then staying at brown belts and kind of sandbagging, even though that's really hard because the gray area between brown belt and black belt, especially nowadays, especially considering no-gi jiu-jitsu, is very not relevant, if that's the right thing. What I'm saying is like you had fucking Micah Galvao. You know who that is? He's from Fight Sports. This kid's a monster. Won 8 ACC trials. He's like 18 or 19 years old. He just got his black belt. I remember when he was still a brown belt, he beat Oliver Taza in a no-gi match. If you know who Oliver Taza is.
I've heard the name.
Yeah. Oliver Taza is insane. So that right there lets you know. And then you have the Rotolo brothers when they were both brown belts. They didn't close out worlds. They went to worlds and they fought in the finals. Yo, if you close out with your teammates, that shit's fucking whack. Stop doing that. Don't do that. Fight each other. You fight each other in the gym. You can fight each other at the tournament. Anyways, they fought in the finals in a stacked division full of tons of dudes, tons of great brown belts. I didn't really super follow the bracket. I just watched their finals match, but I can only imagine the level of talent that was in it. And then they got promoted to black belt. And then it was Mika and I believe it was Ty Rotolo who were in the finals at Black Belt Worlds this year. And they were both like 19.
That's insane. Fucking insane, man. I was just thinking about something I was gonna ask, but yeah, it definitely does seem like very like at that level, like it's almost like ambiguous. Like it's like what defines the black versus the brown? Because like there's so many people that, like I mean, on the world stage, there's so many people that like there's browns that'll be tapping black belts at that level. You know what I mean? Like especially between between no gi.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just so.
Yo, you got Harrison Woods. Shout out Harrison Woods, my boy Harry. Have you heard of Harrison Woods?
I haven't. No.
Harrison Woods.
You're gonna just introduce me to all these fucking
Harrison
people,
Woods is a local homie, and same thing. He's 18. I believe he was 18 or 19 years old, and he's a purple belt.
Nuts.
And he also went to trials, and he fucking beat Jacob Couch. If you know who Jacob Couch is, the Hillbilly Hammer from Daisy Fresh.
Okay.
He beat the Hillbilly Hammer.
Yeah.
Sure he heel hooked another black belt. So then you have fucking freaks like this kid who are just fucking monsters, and they're purple belts and they're submitting black belts on the world level. It's insane, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I guess for you, like it's especially like your goal is to definitely get on like a world stage. Because do you find like at like the local level, it's almost hard to find competition once you get in the higher ranks like that?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, a little bit. Like there is guys, especially local here in BC, like our jiu-jitsu scene is very competitive and very high level. So there's no problem finding matches, but often it's the same matches, and it's often with other gentlemen and athletes that I train with all the time. Not that that's a problem, because like I said, you don't close out matches. You finish your matches. You go hard. You try and submit your training partners. Anyways, those are for those in the back that are closing out matches. Anyways, but for a variety of opponents, yes, it does get more challenging.
Yeah, because I remember like the tournament that I was competing in, like the white belt brackets, like there's like 13 guys.
Yeah, there's like 14
division.
fucking dudes, man. Yeah, it's awesome.
And then
sick.
And then my buddy's competing in purple, and he's got like one other competitor in his category.
And they're going 2 out of 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Sick.
That's nuts, man. So like when, because was there like this amount of competition when you were up in PG?
No. You know, in Prince George, there was like one competition a year. We would have to travel for most of our comps. Yeah.
That's nuts, man. I'm trying to think of where we were leaving off last episode as well. Do you remember?
Well, I don't remember exactly where we left off. No, I don't actually. But I remember we were gonna discuss my homelessness, a little bit of the battle. So we can totally jump into that. Just jump from one subject to another if you want. Okay,
100%,
good. So
dude.
This is gonna be a little bit of a long story. So we're gonna talk about like overcoming victim mentality, because bad things happen to good people, and it's important to be prepared for those. And we're gonna talk about accountability too, because no matter how many bad things happen in your life, the common denominator is that you were there and you were part of it. So a lot of our decisions, no matter how bad they may be, some not within our control, but most of them are within our control. For example, like say I got in a fender bender on my way to work this morning, which I didn't, but let's just say I did
Hypothetically.
because I was rushing. Hypothetically, I was rushing to work because I was late, and then I got a little fender bender. What if I just left 10 minutes earlier? I could have driven the normal speed limit, not been super aware, not been in a rush, not been emotionally unrested, and not gotten the fender bender, even if I wasn't at fault, even if it was completely the other guy's fault. Do you know what I mean? So the mentality like that. Anyways, back around to the story. So I remember I graduated in 2012, and then upon graduation, I lived in Prince George. I moved down to Kamloops, and I was in a relationship with this girl, and the relationship was like not super healthy for like a lot of things. One, I grew up without a father, so I did not have good control of my masculinity at that time. And then this girl I was with also had some issues with her own that she didn't know how to overcome because she didn't have the proper direction to do so. So I wasn't able to provide everything for her that she needed, like a nice stable house, but who really can at 18. But here's me making excuses again. So I couldn't provide like a nice stable house. We would have to rent like basement suites and stuff. Like we would have to often share bills, which I think can be pretty normal in a partnership, but nonetheless. And then I was just so caught up in my training and stuff, I wasn't able to just be there with her all the time, which isn't super healthy for any relationship. You should be able to go off and do your own thing. But nonetheless, these were the requirements of being in a relationship with her. And I couldn't always meet those, but I was so in love with her, I would say, from my definition of love at the time, that
Like infatuated, like
infatuated
lust.
with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I stayed with her despite the toxicity. So long story short, we worked through it. There was a lot of unfaithfulness from her. I would find out about it, and then I would just forgive her. I'd be like, oh, she'd be like, I won't do it again. I'm like, oh yeah, totally. I would just roll with it. We stayed together. Eventually, this all came to a bust, which was mental because we had a lease together at a place at a time, which was not easy to overcome, but we overcome it nonetheless. Anyways, so we ended up breaking up, and we were broken up. And despite the toxicity, and she was like mad toxic. I remember like super bad, like violent, super violent. So I knew there was like lots of warning signs there that I shouldn't be there, and I shouldn't be in the living space that we were living at together. So, but nonetheless, I ignored it because for whatever reason, I just wasn't accountable. I didn't put myself in a financial position to be able to separate myself from these roots we had established together. So nonetheless, she was living at some other place at that time, some place with her family. I don't remember exactly. And I was like staying at the basement suite we had. So I remember at this time, so we had broken up, and it was super hard for me and super embarrassing. And I just was like, oh, pity me. So I started like drinking a lot, way too much. I developed like bad substance abuse issues during this time, but I would still train, work, and then just like party super hard on the weekends. So anyways, one weekend we go out and I party super hard. I go back home, and I sit there and I pass out. So she took it upon herself to come on over after, I don't know, she saw on like Snapchat or something. I posted I was at the club, and then I went back home. She decided to come over and try and mend our relationship by having sex with me while I was asleep. Because, you know, when you're like 19 years old, stuff just works even when you're asleep, no matter
Yeah.
what. So
And you have that false like thought like sex equals love.
yeah,
Yeah.
which I still think that's another topic for another time, but that is still rampant in society to this day, even for like 40-year-olds, I swear. Anyways, so I wake up in the middle of this act, a situation ensues, I get her off of me, and then I'm like, yo man, like what are you doing? Like I'm out of it, like I'm still hazy from everything that had happened at the club. And I was just like, dude, like you got to get out of here, like this is not cool, like I'm totally over the relationship, like you got to go. So she ended up like leaving, the situation diffused. Then it was actually like years later, and who knows how maybe this trauma affected me, if I even recognized it as trauma, but I recognized it years later. Years later, I was like, holy fuck, I got raped in my sleep. That's crazy.
Yeah,
So it
that's
does happen to
fucking
men. It
nuts, man.
totally does happen to men. It happens to everybody. It can happen to everybody at any time. It's not the first time in my life I've dealt with that. I dealt with some of that as a child, very rarely, unfortunately, as so many of us have. So it
I
wasn't.
think, sorry to cut you off. I was gonna say, like, I think a lot of the time, and like this might be what gets me canceled, but I feel like a lot of people have like, there's like, I obviously have sympathy for everybody,
Of
but I
course.
feel like there's more sympathy towards women because of the fact that there's like kind of like that physical danger involved. But I feel like there's not a lot of account for like the emotional trauma that happens, like even if it happens to a man, because people like if a guy opens up and they're like, "Hey, I was abused, I was raped, whatever," it's like kind of like the haha, okay, bro, like yeah, you got to have sex,
Yeah, literally.
like and it's
Yeah.
like almost laughed off, and it's like, dude, there's a lot of emotional baggage that comes along with that. Like that's got to be unpacked, man.
Yeah, 100%. It's not easy to deal with. And I ended up,
For both, like I'm just
yeah,
saying all around, like it
yeah,
doesn't even matter your gender. If that shit happens, it happens.
100%, man.
And that's fucking
And
traumatic.
it happens in a lot of different, there's a lot of gravity to a lot of different ways it can happen. There's obviously like the situation with me where full, full, full sex happens. Unfortunately, there's like women who will be at the club and some dude will just like reach his hand in an area he shouldn't because he
Yeah.
feels like he's entitled to. And that, yeah, and that all that shit causes like, cause your private space is invaded
Mm-hmm.
and you feel vulnerable and you feel
Violated.
violated and you feel dirty. Yeah. And that's not cool, man. Nobody should have to deal with that. That's fucked
Mm.
up.
Yeah.
So it's a, yeah, it's a thing that obviously as a political issue is being tackled, but yeah, nonetheless, that was my experience with that. So then, anyways, after that, I realized I was like, all right, this was fucking crazy. I need to get the fuck out of this living space. So then I ended up just like grabbing some stuff, leaving the unit, changing my phone number, bailed on the lease, and then oh, excuse me, and then never dealt with that living space ever again. So then, having this poor me attitude, I then started hanging out with some people that I shouldn't have been spending so much time with. And we're gonna spare some of the details on this, but then I ended up making some really really unhealthy lifestyle choices, with a lot. Same thing again, is accountability. With a lot of the warning signs around me, and a lot of like good support crew reaching out to me, like, no, this is a bad idea. You shouldn't do this. Even people that I was partaking in these lifestyle choices with were like, hey man, you probably shouldn't be doing this. But I still fucking sat there and did it with them nonetheless. And it was based off of like a poor me attitude. So I ended up like losing. I had two jobs at the time. I ended up losing both those jobs. The gym I was training at the time, I got kicked out because these people were like, yeah, like if you're gonna be behaving like this, like we don't want to be around you. And I was like, oh, whatever, fuck you guys. I'm going through a hard time. You guys aren't gonna support me and give me the love I feel I'm entitled to during this time. Like, then fuck you guys. And it just made me like lash out even more and commit more of these negative lifestyle choices. So these lifestyle choices ended up leaving me homeless at one point, with no money. I was stealing to eat and many other things. And this period of my time took up 3.5 years of my life. Stopped training, didn't do anything. I was down to like 130 pounds, maybe even less. For the record, I'm like 165 right now. So 35 pounds less, and I'm only like 5'9". So that's not a lot. I was not looking good. It was not good. Eventually, some things happened, and I ended up like finding my way out of these issues. Thank God. I ended up moving back home, moved in with my mom, put my nose down to the grind, started taking accountability for my actions. I was like, no, man, like I fucked up my life. I'd be there. There was all these warning signs. There was all this. I shouldn't have been in that relationship. I shouldn't have been partaking in these nefarious activities. One thing led to another. And instead of developing a poor me attitude, I just finally took accountability. I was like, no, I am master of my universe. I am in control of everything that happens around me. And I'm going to pursue excellence for myself. So just near the end of 2017, moved back in with mom. Got a job, started training again, all happy days. Ended up in another relationship with one of one of my childhood best friends, and she lived down here in Vancouver. I still lived in Prince George at the time. We had a long distance relationship. And then eventually in 2018, I made the move down here and settled in with her, and I lived with her and her family. Now, I knew, so emotionally, I was very attached to this woman because we had been friends for so long. Physically, not so much. And I think spiritually, not so much either, because we had conflicting beliefs. And you need to have the triangle. I'm holding up the triangle right now. You can't see it. So the triangle in the relationship is very important. You need mental, physical, and spiritual connection with your partner to establish a beautiful relationship. And we didn't have that. But I thought I could change her. I thought I could help, and not change her, but I guess change her. Yeah, I just wanted to make her better. And whether you consider that right or wrong, like you want to constructively help somebody, people often don't want to be helped. And if they don't want to be helped, but I sat there and I tried to force it and whatever. Anyway, so we were in a relationship for a while. We were engaged to be married, actually.
Wow.
We were engaged to be married. And then another thing happened that attaches. So last week on the episode, if you guys didn't listen, there was a war on. I'm at a war with birth control, man. Birth control is fucking horrible. Fuck birth control. Anyways, so especially IUDs. Fuck IUDs. Put a little copper piece of metal. Fucking that's mental. Anyways, she had an IUD.
Right.
So then instead of practicing safe sex like I should, I was like, oh, you have an IUD? Fucking sweet. No problem. So you can imagine the results of that.
Man.
Been there. Yeah, of course.
Been there, man.
She ends up getting pregnant.
Wow.
She had an ectopic pregnancy. Do you know what an ectopic pregnancy is?
I don't know.
It's where the egg, if I remember this correctly, so don't blast me if I don't get the science here correctly, but the egg gets fertilized in the fallopian tube and it can't drop.
As it's dropping.
It can't drop.
Okay.
Because of the IUD or something along those lines. Long story short, her fallopian tube burst.
Fuck.
So then she had to go in emergency surgery in the hospital, which is, imagine, very traumatic for her. So now she doesn't have a fallopian tube. We experienced this together.
Fuck.
So now we have like this trauma in our relationship as well. And this obviously didn't help her body confidence or her wanting to pursue physical excellence for herself anyway. So then I also like developed like a guilt, so to speak. I'm like, okay, like I played a part in this because I was there, and this woman dealt with this traumatic situation because of me, and this kind of sucks. So there was already signs. This was before we're engaged, actually.
Wow.
I had already like kind of felt, I was like, maybe this relationship isn't for me. But then that happened. I was like, no, I have to stay. I have to see this commitment through because I'm in a relationship. So I have to see this commitment through. So the relationship continues on, and home life is good. Like we don't fight. There's no violence. It's not anything like that. But I have huge aspirations, like winning world championships, becoming a billionaire, owning 12,000 units that pay me passive rental income, like feeding millions of families across the world, developing like athletic programs for underprivileged kids. I want to go to Africa and build houses and water wells for people over there who have it much harder than we do over here. A lot of stuff like that. Her and her family were a little bit naysayers. Like I would talk about these like big goals and aspirations that I have, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's nice. Yeah, you should settle in to like get a city job, work on getting a nice pension,
Find a union job.
Union job, work a 9 to 5." And that sucks. You don't need people around you like that. You don't. You should, if you have big goals and aspirations and your support cast around you right now does not share those goals and aspirations, and they do bring you down, even if it is from a place of love, usually your mother will be the first one to be like, no, you shouldn't do that. Be safe. It's because they love you. But they do not, I repeat, they do not have your best intentions at heart. Even though their best intentions at their heart, they do not have your best intentions at heart. So anyways,
I think a lot of that, sorry to cut you off. I think a lot of that comes from like, not wanting to see you hurt, like because they don't really think that those things are possible for them. They think that
they're scared of failure.
Then they see you, they don't want to see you fail. They don't want to see you heartbroken, right? Like it's like you're saying, like it comes from a place of love. Like man, like those are really big goals. Like, what if you can't achieve them? I don't want to see you crushed.
I'd rather die than
Go
trying.
go the safe way.
Well,
I know the
yeah,
way
yeah,
you
yeah,
think. I
yeah.
know the way you
But
think
like,
because
does
I
anybody? I mean, maybe you will. It's not wrong to have that 9 to 5 life and go home, watch TV, watch the news, talk about the news on Saturday with your friends at the barbecue.
yeah, yeah.
Sunday, get ready for work, and do it all again. If you really love that passionately, that's cool, man.
Mhm.
I support that. That's
Mhm.
a wholesome lifestyle. I don't want to look back. How old am I? Fuck, I'm 28. I want to look back 80 years from now as I'm old as fuck, sitting on my empire, or if I didn't have an empire, I don't want to look back and say I didn't try.
Right.
I didn't take my shot. Because I guarantee everybody who lives that modest, comfortable lifestyle, they're going to look back and they're going to say, I wish I tried a little more. I wish I did a little more. I wish I had a bigger house to leave my kids. I wish I had more money to leave my kids. I wish I had 10 cars that my kids and my grandkids could all split and drive around. Who wouldn't want that? Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to leave more for your children and your grandchildren and so on when you're gone? Everybody does. That's the dream. Who doesn't want to help the world more? But you need to have big goals and aspirations to put yourself in a financial and social position to help these people and to create wealth, eternal wealth for your family. So I had all these goals, and I continue to have these goals. They were not in line with those goals. And then COVID happened. COVID-19, something nobody could predict. Nobody could predict. The United States, this was under President Trump, by the way.
Klaus Schwab could have predicted it, but
Yeah, the United States, 100%, 100%. When COVID
wrote a
19 was
little book about
released,
it.
when COVID 19 was released on the public, nobody could have predicted it. The United States, everything was going good. Crypto was going good. Stocks were great. The unemployment rate was, I'm pretty sure, at the lowest ever
In America,
in
yeah.
America ever. Yeah, things are going good. COVID-19 happens within 30 days. The entire country gets shut down. How this
Crippled.
relates to me critically, I'm now at home, just at home. I'm just at home, surrounded by my family at that time. They were big on CNN. They were big on waiting for vaccinations. They were big on mandatory masks. And then I quickly realized what I already knew, but it really came to light. I was like, I have nothing in common with the people I surrounded myself with. So I had a lot of time to just sit there and think while I was dropping in a Call of Duty Warzone with the boys. And how long have you and your lady been together? So if you don't mind my asking.
Yeah, no worries. We started dating like kind of like probably a year and a half ago. Like it was very seriously. Like it was probably end of 2020, I'd say. So
Okay.
2 years now.
Okay,
Yeah, but
and-
we've known each other for like since like 2016, I'd say.
Right.
We've known each other for years.
And you guys love spending time with each other. I
Yeah,
love spending time with
absolutely.
my partner, of course, right? I did not want to spend time with my partner. I wanted to sit upstairs, play video games, come down, get food, take the dog for a walk.
I know
and
the feeling,
repeat.
man. I've been there, and I've been in relationships similar to that,
And repeat.
man.
But at this point, we're engaged. I remember even the night before we got engaged, or the night we actually got engaged. I remember my best friend called me, and he's like, and he knew from the get go. He's like, "No, Morgan, this isn't for you." But he wouldn't say that. You can't lead a horse to water. He can't make it drink, right? So he called me. He's like, "Hey, man, you sure about this?" And I could tell by the tone he gave me, he was like, "This ain't the right choice, man." And I was like, I'm too far in. I'm committed. I got to see it through. Because it'll work
you're
out.
too deep.
I thought it
You're
would
too
work
deep.
out. I thought it
Yeah.
would work out. I was like, yo, like, if I marry this woman, things will get better. And not that things were horrible. Obviously, like I said, like there's no violence, there's no substance abuse, no alcoholism.
It was all
There's
right.
no fighting. It
It
was
just
all
wasn't
right.
the- it wasn't
It wasn't
perfect.
me. It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah, yeah.
perfect. It wasn't perfect for me. And ultimately, it wasn't for her because everybody deserves to have a partner that is 1,000,000%
All in.
infatuated with
Yeah.
them. And I wasn't. So a few months went by. I kind of stuck it out. I started my new business with my partners at the gym I'm at now. My business took off. Despite me working, despite I was working through all the restrictions, and then I get home, they'd be like, "Did you wear your mask? Did you do this? Do you that?" And I'm like, "Dude, man, I'm just like so over this." And eventually one day, I got exhausted and I just left. And what I did is because I realized I was like, okay, I was in a relationship when I was 19. I was too committed to something that wasn't for me. I didn't take accountability for myself, for my future, and I saw it through, and look how it ended. My next situation I got myself in, I stayed committed. I didn't take accountability, and I didn't listen to my intuition or those around me. And look where that got me. It took away 3.5 years of my life, and a lot of opportunities, and everything. Now here I am again with a way more mild situation, but it's gonna have drastic long-term effects for my goals and aspirations if I did not take accountability. I took accountability. I took $2,000. I packed my geese, my gloves, my TV, and my Xbox and my Funko Pops, and I was like, I'm leaving. And she was like, what? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm out. And then I left, and that was the last time I seen her.
Wow.
And that was how I took accountability. Finally, after battling homelessness, substance abuse issues, and everything you can imagine in between. I'm telling you guys, it got really bad. One day when I write a book and you guys hear about bad it really got, I'll come back here on the podcast and I'll give you guys all the juicy details. But it got really bad. And then finally I took accountability and I realized, like, no, man, I'm in control of everything. You are in control of everything as well. You yourself, you're in control of everything. And you need to take advantage, take control, and run your life. And that's what I decided to do.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I've been in that kind of pattern of life where it seems like it's like I'm like this character that's in this story, and it seems like the same story continues to fucking repeat over and over and over again until you realize you're like, I think I'm the one writing this book, man.
Yeah, 100% you are.
When was like like obviously you said it was in that relationship, and when you're like kind of seeing like, okay, I don't share the same values as everyone around me. I don't really behave the same way. I don't really think the same way. But was there like a specific, like, do you think it was that phone call with your friend? Like, was there a moment where you had that turning point of like, I think I'm writing this book?
No, I realized I was absolutely obsessed and in love with the woman I'm with now. And that was the turning point. Yeah. Yeah. Just happened one day. Just boom.
Did you already know her while you were in that relationship?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. She was a client of mine, actually.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. She was a sweet little thing. Little Muay Thai killer. Southpaw too. Badass.
I love the way you talk about it. That's so sick,
I
dude.
adore her. Boss at her work too, man. Chief of staff, sales expert, phenomenal human being. Oh yeah, man. Dancer, gymnast. Fuck yeah, dude. The dream.
That's so sick. Yeah. I remember like even when my relationship started, I was in a point where I was like kind of too scared to go into another relationship because I've had like a bunch of toxic relationships in the past. I was dealing with like a lot of depression, anxiety, and I was like at a point where we were like kind of talking, hanging out kind of thing. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can risk getting in a relationship again. Like I'm just starting to feel okay and I didn't want to risk it. And I said that to her. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And she's like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to keep going. And I'm like, holy fuck, she is the one. Like,
Sick.
yeah.
Let's fucking go.
I'm like, yo, I love this confidence in us.
Yeah.
Like, this is so sick. Did you have moments like when like maybe this is prying a bit too much? Did you have moments where you were kind of doubting like, is this the right path for me?
Oh, of course. Yeah, because and then of course I did. And that just becomes from we talked about last week, and I think I mentioned it today already, but maybe I didn't. That plague of average in society where people settle because they get scared to go outside their comfort zone and take risks and whatever.
That's exactly how I felt.
And that started off for me very young because me and my mother grew up like super poor, but my mother worked super hard. But it was a very like here, hold on. I forget the word I'm looking for, but I remember I was like talking with my other buddy about this. Here, hold on. What's the word I'm looking for? Hold on. Retraction. Yeah, or the word retraction. So I get used to a lot of like retraction when things get tough. Like hold on to what you have, conserve what you have. So that's where the idea of risk, like no, like you could have it worse. Like be happy for what you have.
Don't risk losing what you have.
Don't risk losing what you have. Yeah,
Even if you feel like you're like at a 6. You're like, don't risk losing this because you could
Yeah.
be at a 4.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but I could also be at like a fucking 8,
Yeah.
9, maybe a 10,
10.
right?
Yeah, man. All of us can. Everybody can.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no reason anybody should settle for any less than what they deserve. But that also doubles in the sense you have to you can't come from a place of entitlement. You have to work on yourself, progress yourself, and put yourself in a position where you're what you want.
Yeah.
Because your partner is a reflection of who you are. That's your relationship. That's why they also call it a partnership, because it's your partner. So you have to be a reflection of what your partner is. So if you want this knockout, 10 out of 10, hardworking, motivated, ambitious, wonderful human, you have to be that as well.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually about to get to that, because I feel like, especially as men, like if you've grown up as like an athlete, or like you made a lot of money in the past, or maybe you're making a lot of money right now, or there's almost like in a sense of, like you kind of touched on it, like a sense of entitlement. Like I know, like pretty much, and I'll be the first to say this, like any problem that we've even had in our relationship, like Teddy and I, is like because I take her for granted. Like it's like you start to think like I'm a catch. You know what I mean? And you start to take it for granted, and you start to forget about the little things. Like one of my buddies, shout out to Zach at the Plaid Jacket Philosopher podcast. He was talking to Mike about this guy named Mike that we know through. They were talking on their interview, and they were talking about relationships, and they were speaking about their wives. They're both like fathers of multiple children, and one of the concepts they're talking about is like you never stop dating your wife.
Nope.
And it's like something that I've had to realize recently, where it's like you can't take those things for granted. Like it's like an endless, like not trying to impress them or trying to. I mean, I guess that does come into play,
I think it does.
but
It really does.
it's like that never ending. Like I want her to feel special, and I need to work to do that. Like it's not like just being with me is going to make anyone feel special.
Nope, not at all, man. It's like, think of like the jungle, man. Like, well, a lion, yeah, a lion has his pride. Lion has his pride. He has his many concubines, if you will. And the second he gets old and frail, some fucking young lion comes along, fucking whoops his ass, takes all his bitches, and fucking dips. You know what I mean? So, what it is like, yeah, if you don't continue to pursue excellence, your partner will leave you, and it's their right to do so. There's no reason. Like, same thing. Like if you're lacking in whatever department, and you don't complete the triangle for your partner, like they should go, because you should do the same thing too, man. So that is a pursuit of excellence that we must continue to do. People want to get lazy, like you said. They take their partners for granted, so they get lazy. They start eating bad. They stop saying thank you. They stop holding the door open for her. Like, stop buying her flowers, whatever it may be. Everyone's love language is a little different, right? But people get complacent. They stop doing it, and they wonder where the passion goes.
Yeah, yeah.
And it goes both ways, men and women.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
Of
sure.
course.
I'm just only speaking from my own perspective, you know,
Right,
like it's,
yeah.
but I like that, because I think that we get confused as well, like pursuing excellence, like even like for like someone like us, like it's like pursuing excellence, we could mistake that for just like, oh, I'm just going to work 12 hours a day, come home, sleep, have my meal, and then rest, and then go out so I can work more tomorrow. And it's like, yeah, you're providing for sure, but there's like, again, I'm gonna throw up the Peaky Blinders reference, because I was watching it during my workout this morning. There's this moment where he's like kind of like handing his girl some money, and he's like kind of like, yeah, I protect the family, I give you money, like what more do you want, kind of attitude. They didn't say that in those exact words, but I was kind of like looking at it, and I'm watching it with Teddy, and I'm like, he's kind of being a prick. Like, you're like, what the fuck is he doing, man? Like, he's not even listening to her. Like, there's all this. And it's like, pursuing excellence isn't just like being excellent at what you do. It's like also being an excellent partner. And that's one of the things that, like, for me, again, I can admit, like, that's not something I've always been good at, dude. That is something that I've actually always, like, I never was good at until, like, I've started to work on this now. Like, it's something that's been a rude awakening for me, at least.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Yeah, like all the way down to like the small things, man. So like one thing, like, I don't know if your girl's a big flower girl.
She loves
She
flowers
loves
and plants,
flowers,
dude.
right?
She's
Flowers
a
and
big
plants,
plant
right?
girl.
And it's
I
super.
never had plants before. You can see I started collecting plants now.
That's good, man. It's good and wholesome for the living environment to have plants in. If you have life that can continue to grow and flourish in your environment, it speaks a lot about the environment. Very good. But yeah, like I maybe not often as I should, but I don't forget to do it every now and then. I go buy my girl flowers, and it's a simple gesture. It takes me 5 minutes to pull over, run in, $20, $50 for the flowers, depending what it is. Nothing, small amount of money. Take them home, give them to her. Loves it. Super happy, and it's super easy and simple, and it's just it's an accountable, again, it's back to accountability. It's an accountability thing. It's like, I want to impress my partner today. I want to make her happy. Well, what can I do extra that would make her a little extra happy? Because it makes me happy to see my partner happy. I can do this. Super straightforward, super simple.
Yeah. And it's not even about money. Like, it's not even like about like buying, like, I don't know. Obviously, buying flowers is a huge thing.
Yeah,
but,
that's
like,
just my example. Yeah,
yeah. But there's like little things, like just take a walk with your girl, like just
100%.
talk to her, just like maybe rub her shoulders, rub her back,
Yeah.
like, and vice versa. Like, dude, like,
Text her in the middle of your workday. Like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I miss
Yeah.
you. I'm looking forward to seeing you later.
or just like a little, yeah, exactly, like a little phone call during the day, little things like that. Like it's that, yeah, it's something I'm trying to get the hang of for sure, man. I think it's something like yeah, it's an endless thing. Like it's never going to end. It's a consistent kind of. It's like hard work in and of itself.
Yep,
Like, you know, we
100%.
always say like hard work never stops because it doesn't.
It never does. No.
But man, that's fucking awesome. Here we are, just two dudes giving some relationship advice.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Just speaking from the heart, speaking from our experiences, man.
Yeah, because dude, I've had those toxic relationships as I look back in my life, and I start to think like, dude, I've been cheated on. I've had like that infidelity in relationships, and it still haunts me to this day. Like those are traumas that you still like kind of, I don't know, if you've like still deal with that kind of like yeah, those like kind of thoughts that creep into the back of your head. Those like, fuck, man, like maybe I'm not good enough. Like maybe maybe my partner now will eventually find out I'm not good enough. I don't know. Like I've always had like a feeling of inadequacy that kind of haunts me through those things.
Right.
And it wasn't until I started to like start to look at like what was my piece of that puzzle until I started to get a little bit freed from it. I wouldn't say I'm 100% freed from it, but like I'd say like until I started to break those chains where it was like maybe I played a role in that. Maybe there was a reason why it happened, and that's why I can stop it from happening again. You know, like it was like taking the ownership of like, you know, like you said like earlier, like you had kind of like all these red flags in like past relationships where like it was going south and you kind of knew it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, no wonder. Like, I look back at certain relationships, it's like, no wonder I got fucking cheated on.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, I wasn't providing what was needed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I realized, like, I can actually impact that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a
100%.
victim. I, like, kind of did it to myself almost.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fair that's the route that they choose. Obviously, like that's not an okay thing to do. That's not cool. But it does happen.
And it happens for a reason.
It does, man. It totally does. 100%. Very often does it just, I mean, it's not, yeah, very, very often, or not very often, sorry, very rarely I would say that it just happens. Like the other person has a moment of passion, because I don't believe it could happen. Like in the relationship I am in now, I would never just be somewhere with a stranger and then just have this fucking moment of passion or whatever. It would just never happen. It never happened.
But I also think that's because we just don't really do those things anymore. Like, it's like realistically, there's no reason why I would ever be in that position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like physically be in that position.
Be in that position. Yeah. 100%. I agree.
It's fucked up, man. It's kind of
But even then, like being in that position, like people put themselves in that position, I think.
Yeah.
People create that environment for themselves, whether they like consciously do it or subconsciously do it. They definitely, I feel like they do put themselves in that position because of the whatever factors they have surrounding their situation.
Do you have moments where you kind of slip into like that victim mindset still? Like where you're like, fuck, this happened to me, or I can't believe this happened to me, or how the like why does this keep happening to me? Do you ever feel those thoughts ever still, or
Well, yeah, here's what it is actually. So I'm going to talk about this now because I doubt the individual I'm talking about will listen all this way into the podcast. And if he does, well, tough luck, buddy. You're going to have to listen to it. So,
do
I,
something about it?
yeah, do something about it. So I have a,
Don't come after me.
I have a really good, I have a really good relationship with my one business partner. There's this other business partner, and he's lazy, he's unmotivated, he barely does the bare minimum. But he was in the partnership before I came along. Like really good relationship with the other partner. Then I come in.
Well, he definitely knows who he is now.
Yeah, he definitely knows who he is now. Yeah.
This clearly won't make the Instagram
100%,
clips.
100%.
We'll keep this out.
So I came in and I just started doing my thing in my side of the business, and I'm helping the business grow, and I'm doing my thing. And then, so what it was is the deal came in. I started at the gym. I brought in, I started the kicker. They had a previous kickboxing coach. It didn't work out. I came in, I continued the program. My thing was to blow the program up and then do my personal training. And then I pay my share of the lease. So there, I just pay a flat share of my lease, no extra like
Overhead
or anything like that. So my job is to pay my share of the lease. Now, I like to think that as long as I'm doing that and behaving in a professional way and representing the gym in a professional way, then that's all good. So some time goes by, and I develop a really good relationship with the one business partner, and we're really good bros, man. I love this guy to death, and so we get along very well. Like I quickly when I started, I was a purple belt, and this other guy was a brown belt. So I quickly I come in, I join, I get my brown belt. I'm developing a good camaraderie with the team. I'm doing tournaments. I'm kicking ass most of the time. Sometimes I lose. I'm kicking ass. I'm winning medals. Like fucking social media is blowing up. I'm getting on podcasts with the homies. You know what I mean? I'm getting sponsorship. Things are going well. And then this guy, it's like I develop an amazing relationship. My life's going really good. The kickboxing program is not taking off as entirely as it should. My personal training is going really good, but I have some good dedicated kickboxing students coming through to the program. So anyway, so some time goes by, and then I sense like some weird
Like animosity.
sour animosity out of this guy too, right? But all he does is fucking smoke weed all the time, and you know, he doesn't train, and he behaves embarrassingly often. So whatever, it is what it is. I just kind of like ignored the animosity. So anyways, some renovations needed to be done at the gym that the landlord should have paid for. They didn't pay for. So I paid for it just out of my pocket. I was like, whatever, I want to get these renos done. It's better for everybody. And they were super necessary renovations for the gym to continue to grow and be successful.
Super necessary.
They were super necessary.
I love that. Super necessary.
So I just paid from out of pocket, which shouldn't have been an issue. This dumb motherfucker, this moron, fucking stupid, gets drunk, punches 2 holes in the wall that I newly renovated on separate occasions. Punched a third hole in another wall, actually. So I cover this hole up, the first
If you need
hole.
those fixed, I was going to say I know a guy.
My man, I cover the first one up, fix it, and then I have a conversation with the other business partner. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, hey man, we were all like drinking one night at the gym after training.
Awesome.
And it just got a little, which I think culturally that's cool. If you can hang out, have some beers, whatever, have a good time, right? Good camaraderie. And then he's like, yeah. And then it just got a little out of hand. I'm like, okay, that happens, I guess. Should it happen? No. But yeah, it's not the first time in history it's ever happened,
Yeah, like
right?
boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys, right? Boys will be boys. Then it happened a second time in the wall that I renoed. And then it happened. And then the conversation became very serious. And then it was like, yo, dude, like I had a conversation with the other business partner. He was on track with me. He had a conversation with this other guy, and then it seemed to be all good. The next fucking day, the guy does it again. Sober this time, I think. Might have been, well, he was, yeah, anyway, probably not drunk. Who fucking knows? Does it again, and I fucking lose my mind. I fucking blow up on this guy. I go off. I'm like, yo, you're fucking embarrassing. Why would you do this? This is so unprofessional. He has a job that he goes to. I'm like, would you do this at your other place of employment? He's like, no, man, I need to be professional at my other place of employment. What a dumb question. And I'm like, did you just fucking hear yourself? What the fuck? So anyways, I like can't get through to this guy. I'm at the gym for, like I said, like 12, 16 hours a day. So like I eat a lot, obviously, because I eat like 4,000 calories a day. So I'm always eating. And then this guy just starts coming back at me with like random shit. And I'm just trying to get him to be like, yeah, I shouldn't have punched a hole in the wall. I'll fucking fix it. And then he's just like, I can do what I want. This is my business. And I'm like, this is my business too, dude. And
They've
then,
been treated like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, what the fuck? And I'm like, yo, man, we're gonna have like, and he's like, I like when the gym looks like that. It gives it character. And he's just making all these excuses, like he's fucking insane. He's just like giving me the runaround. And then he's like, oh, yeah. And then he starts going, you know what you do? You always eat while you're teaching. And then he's like, and you always do this and you always do that. And I'm just like, so again, this guy's not taking accountability. He's just making excuses for himself and just giving me the fucking runaround. So then anyways, this conversation just like blows up. And then I end up, what's the word I'm looking for? I end up discrediting all his statements. And it was a fucking waste of a conversation. The conversation took like an hour and a half, which is a total waste of an hour and a half I'll never get back. But anyways, so the animosity that I saw building up like led to this, and then he behaved in a bad way, and then I addressed him, and then he took that moment to make a situation. Nonetheless, then he came back, and since he was an actual owner of the business, he came back and then there was like this whole like political issue and shoot at the gym. Long story short, I am no longer the head kickboxing coach of that program, and I just do personal training now. How did I get into the story? What was your original question again?
Well, I was just wondering, like, if you fall into like kind of like these mindsets of like, why does this shit keep happening?
Yes.
Like,
Okay. So yes. So the victim mentality thing. Yes. So I was like, yo, man, like this is fucking whack. Like I lost like a good chunk of income every month, and then I was just like, oh man, like this is like his fault. Like I took a hit to my income. Da 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 da. But like obviously I played a part into it. Obviously my greatness, I guess we'll call it just as a broad definition. My greatness caused this animosity and caused him to behave sour in this certain way, and that's what led to this situation. And momentarily, I was like, well, this happened. Like I should have seen this coming. I should have seen something like this coming, or I should have been better prepared to deal with a rising situation like this. So for a couple days, I was like, oh man, that's fucking bullshit. It shouldn't have happened. And I quickly got over that and just focused on what I could work on and what situation I could improve and how I could keep doing. And that's what it is just continue to shine with my success and show my value above his.
Yeah, yeah. I've been there too, though. I've been at like it's a lot different now because I work in a very small, tight knit environment. Like it's literally just me, my dad, and my cousin for the most part. We subcontract everyone else out. So I've been there though when I've worked in gyms and I've worked in like restaurants. I've worked in tons of different places, and you have like kind of like that resentment or animosity between people, and you like I just like consistently I'm like I'm just gonna fucking kill him with kindness kind of thing. Like that's always my mentality is like I'm just going to keep killing it with kindness. And then it took me a long time to understand like maybe I do need to address this, and maybe I need to address it in like a better way. Because like those like resentments, like it's the same thing in relationships. Like if you leave those resentments for long enough, they blows up.
It does. It totally does. And that, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think where. Yeah, it's because it's super easy to have a conversation, but it's what it is. So a lot of humans are afraid of conflict. And I think it starts a lot of like when we're kids, and this is totally wrong of our parents to do it. And every fucking parent does, and you shouldn't do it. But it's like, we're like, why? Because I'm the parent. Shut up. Stop talking. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So then it's ingrained in us from a young age to kind of like be, to shy away from conflict for whatever reason. And a lot of that like kind of feels like conflict, and it is kind of conflicting at times because like I believe that the definition of conflict isn't like a violent interaction I don't know what the actual definition, but I'm pretty sure it is just like having an opposed something to somebody else. And that's what conflict is. But conflict gets this like really dark shadow, if you will, and then people shy away from it so much. I mean, it's super easy to have a conversation if you're surrounded by level-headed humans that are ethically tied to the same source of beliefs that you have. Then the conversation should be easy.
Yeah, yeah. And so for yourself, like, do you think like going back into ownership of that place is a possibility? Is that kind of something that you're looking forward to? Is that something that you're like kind of gunning for? Or you
Yeah,
kind of
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very committed to the success of that gym, however it looks.
That's fucking sick.
In the proper way. But yeah, I'm gonna be accountable. I'm gonna be aware, and I'm gonna make all the right decisions off that. But this story will definitely have a happy ending for me. I promise you. I'm looking at the camera right now. If you can't see me, I'm listening. I promise it's gonna have a happy ending for me.
I love that, man. I fall into like that bitter like fucking mindset sometimes where like if I get crossed by something, I'm like, fuck this. I'm gonna fucking make my own thing. Like I'm gonna do my own thing, and it ends up I like shoot myself in the foot that way because it's like maybe you do need some other people in your life. Like it's a lot easier to work as a team.
Yeah, it is. It's way better. It's hard to do anything on your own, man. Like look at every major fucking look at any billionaire. They didn't do it alone. There's no way they didn't do it alone. Not at all. Even the richest woman on the planet, what's her name? Jeff Bezos' wife, rich off divorce, didn't do it alone. Needed Sweet Jeff. She needed Sweet Jeff to achieve her billions.
Is she the richest woman in the world?
I believe
his ex-wife?
on paper, anyways. I'm sure there's a Rockefeller
or some queen or like
some
princess out in fucking Abu
something.
Dhabi or some shit. Like,
Well, does anyone? What's that country? Ethiopia? No. What's that country that just discovered that gold deposit?
oh, I have no idea. I was gonna say Saudi. I thought all the Saudi guys were super rich.
They
I
are
thought the
super
richest
rich, but
guys
those
were
are all
the s-
dudes. There's no women. I think they're on top of, but yeah, more than like on paper anyway. She's the largest, or not the largest, the richest woman on the planet. We'll just go with it. Good for you, sweetheart. Got your money. Well done.
Man, I was gonna say Elon Musk's wife, but he's probably smart enough to get a prenup.
I think.
What was that?
Well, he's got 9 kids.
You have 9 kids.
Elon Musk has 9 children. I think Grimes. I think him and Grimes broke up. Hold on, let me pull up my phone here. Yo, shout out to Elon Musk, man.
But wouldn't that
Bright
make
mind.
her like the because he's the richest man in the world?
I
so
don't
if
think they were
bro-
married.
Not even common law.
I don't know if that works the same in Canada as it does in the States. I don't know.
I wonder.
Elon Musk is very well connected with
He's
a lot of
probably
lawyers.
I was gonna
I'm
say he's probably
pretty
smart
sure
enough to sign a
he
fucking
took care
prenup,
of
even
it.
if they did get. Because I thought they were married, but yeah, he probably was.
What? Elon Musk had twins last year with executive Siobhan Zillis just weeks before his baby with Grimes was born.
What?
I don't know, man. People make
He's fucking slanging dicks, man.
For sure he is. Elon Musk, man. Space daddy.
Space
100%.
daddy,
Yo,
dude.
sweetheart, I'll send you to Mars. Let's
Dude,
go.
That's so nuts. I thought he just had that one kid that was like had numbers in his name.
Yeah. I don't know. It's their is it a daughter? I think it's a daughter. Like an airplane serial model and then like Pi or something like that. I don't know.
That's
Very
awesome.
interesting choice. Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
You think you'd name your kid that?
No, that's not me. That ain't me.
If you had,
But I'm not Space Daddy. So.
Yeah, you're not Space Daddy. That's
I'm
for
not
sure.
Space
Dude.
Daddy. No, I want to name. I want my children to have biblical names.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, that's
powerful
sick.
biblical names.
I've got a very biblical name, man. Mark Daniel.
Yeah,
Super
very-
biblical name.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is funny because my family's not even that religious.
Oh,
like, I
interesting.
went to church as a kid, but I think they asked my mom to not bring me anymore. And then she
That's
stopped
fucking
going.
rude.
Yeah, it was a weird church. It was fucking.
A lot of churches are fucking weird.
I was young. I had a lot of energy. I was hopped up on sugar. I asked too many questions. They were like, I'm
Fuck
not even
this guy.
not even like questions like philosophically smart questions, just like annoying weird questions.
Why is the chair brown?
Why do we have to sit this long? Yeah, like things like that.
Dude.
Yeah, they're like, dude, shut the fuck up. So yeah,
It's good to ask those. Well, here, hold on. Actually, we're going to do that in a second. Time out. I got to use the washroom.
Yeah, go for it, man. But yeah, dude, church it didn't go too well for me actually. That
No,
was
man. And the idea I wanted to spin off of that is I think it's important to remind children when they need to listen. I think it's also important for children to ask questions, and this is for anybody, but I think it's important to have like a constructive conversation. If you're going to shut it down, to be like, hey, man, like, this is to really explain it to someone plainly, like, hey, this is what we're doing right now. Like, this is the task we're focusing on. Your question that you ask, whether it has value or not, does not pertain to the subject we are focusing on right now. It is important to really focus on the work you have at hand, to take advantage of that opportunity or that situation to the fullest of its benefit, versus just like, hey, don't stop because I said so.
yeah. And I think as well, it was just kind of like the culture of that church. I don't think there was a lot of young people there.
Right.
That was the other thing. Like I remember we had like kind of like a weekend Bible thing where there was like other kids, but I think I was even like the youngest kid there. Like I think they would probably be like teenagers, and I was like a fucking 5-year-old or a
Right.
6-year-old.
Yeah.
So like it was like, yeah, kind of a funny. It's funny now though because I've been exploring different like kinds of like versions of spirituality that way, and I like even said to Teddy last week, I was like, do you think we should just try and find a church like around here, like, and just start going by ourselves, like something like that? And then yeah, I don't know, it's just something that spirituality was something because of that experience I wrote off for so long. I was like, fuck that, that's like,
Do you ever think about me checking out like a mosque?
I'd be down to check out anything.
Yeah,
dude.
man, 100%. Just go find a nice spiritual community. Check
There's
it out. See a
dude,
little bit of everything.
especially in Richmond, there's so many different types of temples, man. There's such a diverse city. Like you could literally find any type of temple that you could think of in this city. It's fucking insane.
It's a beautiful city, man. It really is.
Do you spend a lot of time out here?
I used to. I come out here every like once a month usually, at least go to Steveston. And right after this, I'm going to Steveston Pizza. You ever eaten Steveston Pizza?
Hell yeah, dude.
Fuck, dude. Damn, we're gonna get the marguerite too with extra basil.
Fuck, man.
Damn, I'm so excited. But
Yeah.
where that city job that my ex's family that I mentioned before wanted me to settle into was with the city of Richmond.
My
Yeah.
roommate works for the city of Richmond, actually.
Yeah. Sick job. Sick job, really.
Depends what you do.
Yeah,
but
it depends what you do, but yeah, it's like benefits, union, you name it. Like it is really a sick job. It just wasn't the job for me.
Yeah, I couldn't do it, man. Especially union jobs, I've got a lot of buddies that work in different union jobs, and like I hear about how guys like can just like pretty much fuck the dog and then still like, keep their job, and that fucking just pisses me off so much.
100%, 100%. Because our taxes pay that shit.
Not even just that, but it's like, why should you be rewarded for doing nothing, man? What the fuck? Because you hung out
This is
longer?
the problem with society.
Because you hung out longer?
So here's the thing. So that people don't work hard enough. That's the one thing. But hard work alone isn't enough either. Because if hard work was the key to success, my mom would be the most successful person on this planet.
Right.
Need an important sense of direction and constructive outlet for your hard work to go. Because if you can work as hard as you want as a janitor for as long as you want, it ain't gonna make you $10 million, man. It's just not. It's not going to.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a weird, I want to say juxtaposition, but I also barely know the definition of that word. But I was going to say it's a weird, like, catch-22, because you definitely need to work hard.
Super hard.
But you're right.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and I get this as well, because, like, dude, I have, like, this mental health group that I run, and we have, like, conversations all the fucking time. We have, like, Zoom calls every weekend. We have, like, a group chat that we talk about, and there's, like, there's people in there that just grind and grind and grind. And they're like, what the fuck, man? Like, I can't get ahead. I can't get this feeling of, like, fucking purpose or worthiness or... And I just, like, there's all these... And I'm not even thinking of, like, one person in specific right now, to be honest. There's, like, been a couple people where it's, like, there's an obvious lack of purpose. Like, there's an obvious lack of, there's no direction.
Right.
And like people will work their ass off for like certain companies, and then they're like making minimum wage, or maybe like if you're in like Yeah, if you're working in the trades, there's no way you're making minimum wage. You're
Fuck
making
no.
like over $20 an hour no
Fuck
matter
yeah,
where
you
you're
are.
working. Like people start off at like fucking 18, 19, $20 an hour. Like that's minimum wage in the trades.
Yeah, 100%.
And
For like being the bitch on site too.
for sweeping.
Yeah.
But it's like, how long are you going to work hard at sweeping? Like you said, like even if you get paid $40 an hour to be a janitor, do that for 5 years. See how much you love that.
Yeah.
Like what? How are you going to go home every single day and just not have a purpose?
Yeah. You got to reinvest. You got to reinvest the rewards of that time put in into something bigger.
Have you always had like the same kind of purpose that you have right now?
No, definitely not. I was just like in a survival instinct for a long time, but I always had a hard work ethic, and I'll tell you where it started from. So I remember my mom was on welfare. She was on disability, actually. So she could make an extra couple $100s a month. I remember I would go door to door. I did door to door sales when I was like 7.
That's the biggest grind. Yo, when I worked in the gym and I ran like the sales team, I remember one of the guys, like, I call him up one time and I'm like, hey, like, what's going on, man? Like, I looked at your resume. Like, kind of tell me about, like, I saw you worked for TELUS. Like, what did you do? He's like, oh, I worked door to door. Like, he's like, kind of gave me a roundabout answer. He's like, well, I did a bit of sales for TELUS. And I'm like, okay, like, what kind of sales? Like, were you selling cell phones? Like, what kind of sales were you doing for TELUS? And he's like, sort of. I was like selling like plans and like packages for people. I'm like, okay, like what did you like? Can you tell me like what you were doing on a day-to-day basis? Like run me through like your typical day. And it's like I was doing door-to-door sales. I'm like, come in right now.
Yeah,
Like I
you're
need
in.
you on my team.
Let's
man.
go. Yeah. Anybody that can do door to door sales, man, that's awesome. So I did that shit when I was 7. We would deliver Sears catalogs, go to door, boom, man, Sears catalog, $2. Shit was $2 at the time, man. $2.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah. We'd collect the money and then mom would go to the depot, leave me waiting in the car. This is back in the 90s when you could do that, leave somebody waiting in the car. Nowadays they call fucking child services on your ass.
Yeah.
Fucking pussies. Anyways. And then, yeah, she would,
You're like, I was just a sauna for me, man.
chilling, man. Posted. 7 years old, posted, listening to fucking country music.
I love that.
93.5 or .7 FM, something like that.
937.
Yeah.
Shout out to JRFM.
Shout out to JRFM. And then we would go home, and then the life would continue on. Yeah. That's where my hard work ethic started. So, yeah, it was just like survival at that time. I remember even like, and then my mom battled like own issues of her own. So at one point she wasn't working and she was just on disability. And I remember there wasn't like a whole lot of food in the house. And I remember one time I like went out. I just went out. I was like probably like 8. I went out and just like walked around the neighborhood, walked along the highway. I collected bottles and cans, and then went and cashed them in at this fucking at this beer store. But they had like a cash in window, so I didn't actually have to go in the beer store. And I was like, "Hey man, I got all these cans," and the dude was like, "Where's your mom?" And I was like, He's like, "All right, man." Cashed them in. Then I went to the local convenience store and I bought some canned food and some bananas, and I took it home. And then my mom was like, "What?" I think it was a crazy moment for my mom because I don't remember her reaction exactly, but I remember it was very dramatic, rightfully so. Like, if I was a parent and then my 8-year-old went out and collected bottles to bring food in, I'd be like, holy fuck, I'm doing something wrong. Something bad happened. And nonetheless, I'm not dogging my mom at all. God bless her heart. I love my mom to death, and she did the very best that she could with everything that she could. So that's it. And then that continued on. And then I just really love sports, and I found that as an outlet for like all the traumas that I faced as a child and throughout. Remember, even actually, we'll talk about this since we're talking about the traumas of my life. I remember my mom was dating this. I don't remember if he was like a drug dealer or like. He was definitely on drugs. He did meth. And yeah, I remember
Definitely a drug user.
Definitely a drug user.
I'm
But
not
he had
sure
a
if he's
business as
making-
well.
Oh,
He had a
okay.
business as well. He he painted houses. I remember he painted a lot of houses too, because I remember going to work site and hanging out with like him, and generally really nice dude to me anyways. Like, and all his employees were super nice to me, but yeah, they had some like weird fucking shit going on that I found out at a young age too. I was probably like 10, and I found out when I was 10, I found out all these dudes were like doing meth, and then like they were like bisexual. So they were doing fucking weird shit. And then this one dude was dating my mom, and since my mom was so infatuated with him, I remember my mom was just like at one point paying this dude. We didn't have any money. We had barely any money. My mom was paying this dude to come spend time with her.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, man. And it was super tough situation. And I remember, and I don't know, something just came over me one day, and this is fucking crazy. I remember we needed help from our family, and my mom didn't get along from my grandma for whatever reason because of my mom's mental disability. She just had a hard relationship with the other members of her family, and that's whatever that is between her and them. I love my family to death, all of them.
Every family's got that kind of shit.
Of course, yeah. Everybody's got their shit, right? 100%. And then I remember it was like really bad. And this is like, I remember that I saw that Facebook post where we like found the needle in our house when we came home one day. I remember I wrote that Facebook. This was around that same time. And I remember shit was really bad. And I was like, yo, man, we need help. We need to get my family here. I don't know how. And I fucking lit my bedroom on fire. I was 10. I lit it on fire because I knew help would come. I was like, oh, the fire department, like family will come, help will come. Help will come. And I remember like, I don't think I've ever still explained this to my family to this day, and I don't know how many of them are actually going to listen to this podcast, but I remember I did it because I knew they would come and I knew they would help. And I remember then I was a villain. I was villainized for, even as young as I was villainized for a long time. Like they showed up and like nobody could explain what was happening. They're like, how did the fire start? My mom was like, I don't know, I was sleeping. So I lit the fire, woke my mom up. I was like, Mom, let's go.
You might have just admitted to a crime. You know that, right?
Yeah, but I was 10. But I admitted it to the police there that day too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was 10 years old. Yeah, I remember. Like nobody got hurt. Nobody got hurt. I got my mom out of the house right away. I was like, Mom, there's a fire. Let's go. Oh shit, let's go inside. And I remember too, we came out and I ran back inside, and the fire got kind of bad. And I ran back inside to grab the phone so my mom could make some calls. And my mom was like on the phone thinking, she's like, there's a fire. And then I went like knocked on the neighbors, got all the neighbors because we lived in like a quadplex.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like 4. So like 2 top level homes, 2 bottom level homes.
Okay.
So we went and got the neighbors out of their house. I remember I just like, so the fire department show up, the police show up, my family member, our family lived 2.5 hours in a small town away from Prince George. So they're like, okay, we're on our way. And then, so a couple hours go by, everyone starts showing up. And then I don't know, the police, because my mom was like, I don't know what happened. Like, my son woke me up. So then the police called me over, and they're like, all right, yo, man, like, why don't you tell us what happened? And I remember I just broke down in tears. And I was like, I did it. And I was like, my mom needs help. And they were like, what? And then, but I didn't know how to verbalize it because I'm fucking 10 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know how to verbalize my mom's dating this fucking bisexual meth addict.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's taking money away from her. I didn't know how to vocalize that. So then I was just villainized right away. I had a cat. The cat died in the fire, unfortunately, like asphyxiation due to the smoke. And then I remember my godfather, still a man I look up to greatly. I remember he like took me inside and flipped the couch and like grabbed me by my neck and made me stare at the cat. He's like, look at what you caused. And I was just like, holy fuck. It was a fucking crazy experience, man.
That's fucking
nuts. It was a crazy experience. And I never verbalized it all to them to this day because everyone was just like, how could you do such a thing? And then I felt really bad because I'm 10. So everyone was like, how could you do such a thing? And I love that cat so
remorse,
much. Yeah. And I just felt so bad. And then I ended up just like, just bottling it up with everything else. So then I took on sports.
Yeah.
And then I got a job as soon as I turned 13. I got a job as a gas jockey at a local gas station. Started like paying for my sports, cleaning the gym that I worked at, as I mentioned last time too. Just like working on what I can, doing what I can, and sports was my outlet. And then And then I got really good. Like I said, I started 1-5, but then I won like 8 in a row, and then had a bunch of fights. And everyone was like, "Yo, man, you can totally like make it to the UFC." And I was like, my skills were sharpened and refined right around the same time as, you know who Jeremy Kennedy is, right?
Yep.
Yeah, shout out to Jeremy Kennedy. Fuck, one of the best fighters on the damn planet. So I came up at like the same time as him. So I was in that class of guys, and we all know how that class of guys from BC particularly did.
Fucking savage.
Fucking animals, dude.
Yeah.
And then I began to thrive, and then the bad shit happened with that relationship, as I spoke about an hour ago, and then I turned into a survival instinct again. Then I caught out of that, began to prosper, and as I continued to prosper, I can realize I was like, oh, yo, I can use my bad times to really like change the lives of a lot of people, and a lot of good things can come out of the bad experiences that I've had. So now I'm in a thrive, prosper, grow, and do that for everybody around me that I can. I want to make life as good as I can for everybody. I want everybody around me to find wealth, happiness, love, prosperity, self-confidence. And that's my mission every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
I love that, man, because I see like very similar kind of, not journeys that way, but realizations between the two of us, because I think that both of us have come to the same conclusion. I think that a lot of people do, which is like, I want to be the hero I needed. Like, I want to be like, because that's even why I started this podcast. Like, in terms of like the trauma that I went through, it's like I need to be the guy that kind of shows people like it's okay to fucking talk about these things. It's okay. And whether you do, like, whether that's someone like listening to that resonates with my story, or someone else that comes on like onto this podcast, there's going to be a plethora of stories that are out there, like hundreds and hundreds of episodes. I'm never going to stop.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, and it's, for me, like, I can see the same kind of like drive in your eyes, where it's like, I'm going to provide the fucking, I'm going to be the hero for the next kid that's like me.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because, and this is something that I've talked about so many times, but it's interesting to get so many different people's perspectives on it. But I'm wondering, like, what do you think is that catalyst? Because there's, you know, when you look at people like, say, like this guy you're describing, like the fucking guy who works in the trades, and this is really common. The guy who works in the trades, he does fucking drugs, he fucks up his life, he's taking money from people around him, he's fucked. Like, literally, like, that's the way I would describe it. That person's fucked.
Yep.
They're
It's a great
fucked
description.
up, man.
It's perfect.
They're fucked.
It's a perfect description.
And you hear about these people, you see these people, and you're like, what makes a person like that? And if you ask them, they'll say, well, you know, this happened to me. I got dealt this hand of cards. I got fucked up early in life, and all these different things, right? Like, you hear them justify their shitty fucking existence with something that happened to them that was really shitty in the past.
Yeah.
And then you see the greatest fucking people of all time. No matter who your fucking idol is, like, I buy their books because I'm fucking obsessed about hearing about all these different people that became great. You know, and you hear about what made this person great. And if you ask these people, they say, it's because at an early age, I went through this thing that was fucked up, and I knew I don't ever want to repeat that. I don't want my kids to repeat that. And I want to fucking save other people from that as well. So you see the greatest fucking people, and then you see these fuck ups, and you ask them, what made you like this? And they say, this traumatic thing happened to me early on in life.
Exact same thing.
It's the same fucking thing.
One went this way. One took the red pill. One took the blue pill.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, I've always wondered, what is the difference?
I don't fucking know, dude. I've always wondered that myself. And I swear,
Because, like,
for
dude,
me personally, I've felt super religious, super faithful. I've felt the touch, the word of God, if you will, throughout my life on many different occasions, and both equally when I've like been fucking up and when I've been doing very good. And who I view as God, or some people might view as the universe. It may be just a matter of fact that some people are destined to be great and some are not. Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe there is something in between that causes the switch, that causes the flip, because like, I'll use a really obese person as an example. No matter how many times you tell them, hey man, that food's not fucking good for you, they don't fucking listen. They keep eating it, and then one day they're fucking 400 pounds with all these health issues. And then even sometimes then they flip, then they lose the weight, and then they do it, and then sometimes they don't, and then they die in an early age. And I don't know, man. And it's like another one is like people who smoke cigarettes.
Been
There's
there, man.
all the
Fuck.
evidence on the planet that smoking will either kill you or cause an early death or give you a lot of fucking problems in between, cost you a lot of money. And people still do it, even with all the information out there. So I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. I wish I'd have known you were going to ask that question. I would have put some deep fucking thought into that on my way over here. I would have meditated on that hard. I would have been like, damn, what is it?
It's
I don't
so
know, man.
weird, man. It's so fucked up because you hear about all these, like literally the greatest people you could think of in the world. They've gone through all these fucked up things, and then, like, bro, I used to volunteer on the downtown east side. Like, we went for weeks and weeks and weeks, every single Wednesday, handing out like clothing and food, etc. I mean, like my first YouTube video I ever made. Actually, it wasn't the first one I ever published, but it was the first time I ever recorded like interviews. Was interviewing people on the downtown east side. And you hear about their stories and you hear about all these traumatic events that they went through. And it's like, how is this like a monster for some people that just haunts them for the rest of their lives? And for other people, it's the greatest gift they've ever had.
I don't know, bro. I'll use a historical example here. So you've watched a lot of documents on Hitler, right?
Oh, yeah.
Adolf Hitler. Very brilliant, bright mind at one point, but we all know the monster he turned to be. Obviously, the Holocaust, like everyone is historically up to date on that. A lot of people really close to him attempted assassinations on him a lot of times. And have you seen that? Like a lot of like the bomb going off in the plane went off early. I forget there was like a poisoning one.
There was one time that I could go off about a couple of them. There was one time he almost got shot, like literally inches away, and it hit some other Nazi.
Yeah.
Right, but like before they were even like, it was like there's this famous like night. I think it's like the Barroom Putsch or something like that. It's right before he goes to jail and writes Mein Kampf.
Right.
But it's like this riot he basically starts, and a police officer, I think it's a police officer, an SS officer, shoots at them, and it hits a Nazi right beside Hitler. Like, that was like one of the closest calls he ever came to death. But yeah, there's a bomb that goes off in a bunker. It blows out his eardrums. It fucks him up, but he ends up walking away fine. Like,
yeah. So all these attempted assassinations on one of the most heinous dudes to ever be in a leadership position across the entire world.
and he can't drop.
Can't drop.
The story says he drops himself with a cyanide pill for his wife.
There's no
and
fucking
a bullet
way.
in the brain
That
for
guy went to
himself.
Argentina, dudes. That guy went to Argentina, was hanging out, man. Fuck. Nonetheless.
You watch the show Hunters? There's a show called Hunters on
Hunting
Amazon
Hitler.
Prime.
No, Hunters.
There's a show called Hunters on
Okay.
Amazon Prime. It's fucking unreal.
You ever see the one with Tim Kennedy, Hunting Hitler?
No, but
That
Tim
show's
Kennedy's
fucking
a
sick.
G.
Tim Kennedy's a
I
bad
was just
motherfucker.
telling my girl about
Tim Kennedy, you're
yesterday.
one of the baddest motherfuckers to ever walk this planet, and I hope one day I get to train and then sit and have a good conversation with you,
Yo.
my man.
I'll show you some shit later. Actually, one of my friends, his kids go to Tim Kennedy's school
That's
in
fucking
Texas.
dope. That's so
I'll
fucking
show you
sick.
pics after. It's
That's
real
so
good.
dope.
Shout out to Matt and Whitney, dude. Fucking
What
sick.
a master of his craft.
Dude. But why did I bring that up? What was I gonna say?
Oh, well, we were talking about just like the catalyst of the universe of why people do bad things. So my idea was like the thing of like destiny. Things are like meant to happen in certain orders. Perhaps, maybe not, but perhaps.
Oh, dude, the show Hunters. I was gonna tell you about that. But sorry, finish your thought.
Oh, it's just like maybe the dude that's fucking up his life in the trades is like maybe meant to. Who knows? I don't know the downtown east side. I don't know. But you take an example of like Hitler, who before those was doing bad things when those assassinations were attempted, and continue to do nasty things after that, way more nastier things. We all know like the end result, right? Always something there, just off a little bit for whatever reason.
Yeah. And I think, Hitler's such a funny, fucking weird guy because, well, I shouldn't say funny, but funny, like,
Wasn't he a vegan? I thought I read that somewhere. I thought he was vegan. Maybe he wasn't.
I don't know. But I was going to say,
Or vegetarian, maybe.
part of the reason he's probably ended up being so fucked up is because, well, there's a lot of reasons, but dude went to art school. originally and wanted to be like either an artist or an architect. He studied, those are the two things he studied.
Right.
And obviously he didn't follow those paths.
But he did build the Autobahn.
Well, he enforced slaves to build
Enforced slaves to build the Autobahn. Yeah. He enforced slaves to do a lot of things, but like the railway system, Autobahn, like he did kind of use that skill a little bit.
Actually, I think it wasn't even, it could have been slaves, or I think to be historically accurate, I think that was when he was trying to quote unquote stimulate the economy and create jobs.
Right.
But it was just like basically routes.
Which he did do.
Yeah,
Which he did do.
it was
in
kind of
comparison
it was
to
like
how Germany was after World War One, when people were taking literally wheelbarrows of money to buy milk and fucking bread.
yeah. They were in super fucking debt. This is like and then they got a bunch of fucking loans from the Americans, and then Wall Street crashed, and America was like, "Pay up, bitch," and then Germany was like, "We got nothing."
Yeah.
So they're fucked, and then their economy went to shit. Yeah, it was a fucked up thing. I watch a shit ton of documentaries, man. But what I was gonna say is like obviously he had a passion for other shit, and that he never pursued it.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, dude, if you got a purpose calling you and you don't fucking answer that call, it's gonna fuck you up in many ways, man.
100%.
So you could be the next fucking Nazi. And that's how we get canceled.
Oh, you fuck.
I love that, dude.
Oh my god. People love hating Nazis, man.
Yeah.
The term fucking, you think about the January 6th insurrection or whatever the fuck they call it. People love hating on Nazis, quote unquote Nazis. Yeah, man, fuck. That won't be what get us canceled. I'm pretty sure I said retarded like 4 times last week. That's what's going to get us canceled.
Yeah, and I said people were fucked too, so.
People are fucked.
But
I think it depends on who you say is fucked. Because if I say,
I think we could all agree if someone's doing meth and they're taking money from people around them, they're fucked.
yeah, that's fucked. But I could say Donald Trump is fucked, and I wouldn't get canceled. But
He is fucked though.
yeah, 100% he is. Yeah, but it's fucking.
Biden's twice as fucked.
Biden's twice as fucked. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, what a brilliant mind though, man. Donald Trump, amazing businessman. Really, when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean,
This guy went from claimed bankruptcy 3 times and went from owning hotels and doing The Apprentice to being the president of the most powerful country in the entire world.
Yeah.
You're the real life meme.
Greatest publicity guy ever.
Ever.
Yeah, he's
Ever.
fucking insane.
I have never seen, this is how you know you're doing something great.
But you gotta
I have
also
never seen anyone more unanimously hated by every major media outlet in the history of ever.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say you could also look at our fucking fearless tyrant leader, going from drama teacher to fucking tyrant of Canada.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's
really
pretty sick,
incredible.
too.
Piece of shit, but incredible.
Great mind. Clearly.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible, really. You gotta you always gotta respect your enemy a little bit.
It's fucked, man. It's super fucked. Dude, this fucking show. This is what I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, Hunter.
The
Sorry.
show Hunters, dude, is do you know Operation Paperclip?
I do not. Sounds familiar though. Sounds familiar.
Bro, as a guy who's into conspiracies, man. So Operation Paperclip is right after the Second World War.
Okay.
You got like literally the greatest fucking scientists ever in Nazi Germany, right? Like these guys are developing fucking crazy fucking weaponry, crazy fucking like insane, not being used for good things whatsoever. I'm just saying like you've got insane, like the Nazis were unanimously famous for taking the greatest scientists in Europe and converting them with a gun. They're like, you're a Nazi now or you're dead now. Yeah. Those are your options.
Oh shit.
So the Nazis have all these great scientists, right? And they're fucking designing all these fucked up gas chambers, all these fucked up things. But after the Second World War, you have like the famous Nazis, like all these fucking people that are in like Hitler's.
The guy that headed the NASA program. What was his fucking name?
So this is the thing, bro. So after the Second World War comes the Cold War, right?
Right.
And
Cold War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ended. It was so long ago.
Yeah,
so anyways,
100%.
There's this Cold War, and you basically have like America and Russia being like, we need to get the greatest scientists in the world. And where do we fucking know where they all are? They were collected. And so there's this race basically, like you got to think of it this way. Like if you and I start going to war right now,
Yeah.
I'm starting to think, yo, I got to get the best people on my team before he gets the best people on his team.
Yeah.
I got to get to them quick. So you have both sides basically harboring Nazis, and they're basically saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you an American passport," and this isn't even a conspiracy, bro. This is something you can fucking
This is legit. No, this is
you can
100%.
you can look this shit up.
Because that's what happened to the head of NASA. Why
So
do I forget his name?
This
But
is
anyway.
this is how this all happened. Operation Paperclip. They say, "Hey, I'm going to give you an American passport. We're going to give you a new name. We're going to give you we're going to protect your identity. Just come on over here and do some science for us." And that's Operation Paperclip. And so there's all of these fucking Nazis literally living in America.
Yeah.
And this show,
very comfortably living in America.
fact. Like that's a fact.
Yeah.
This show is probably fiction. Excuse me, but I don't actually know. But the show is about a group of people hunting these fucking Nazis down. You have to fucking watch it.
By like executing them?
Yes.
Oh,
Bro.
shit. Fucking sick.
Dude, you
Damn.
have to watch this fucking show.
That's crazy.
I'm not a big Amazon guy. Sorry, Jeff Bezos, but like, not a big Amazon guy, but you need to watch this show, dude. It's fucking insane,
Damn,
dude.
it sounds fucking nuts.
They literally fucking execute them, man.
It's amazing when you think
If you like watching Nazis die,
like
bro.
watching Nazi stuff, man. Yeah, Inglorious Bastards.
Oh,
The Bear Jew. Yeah, the Bear Jew with his fucking Louisville Slugger, man. Holy shit, so fucking cool. But what I was gonna say is, okay, can you remind me of the name of that guy who was the head of NASA, who was the former Nazi scientist? What was that guy's name? That guy's seen a lot of shit. Or just looking it up here for those that are listening at home. We're looking up this information. Warner von Braun. Yes. So I remember, like, imagine all this shit because, like, the United States, we all know, bro. The United States government's got their fair dirty mitts in a lot of stuff. This guy came from Nazi Germany, then to head NASA.
No. Wikipedia says he's a German American. He's just
right. Yes. Wikipedia, very reliable.
Oh
source
wait,
of
what's this
information.
next line? Was a member of the Nazi Party and the SS, and leading figure in the development of rocket technology in Nazi Germany, pioneer of rocket and space technology in the United States.
Yes.
Weird.
Crazy. So anyways, right before he died, in his final memoir, I forget what the whole tangent he went on. He's like, yo, there's always large evil powers at work. And he's like, and I've been on both sides, Western and over in Europe. And he said he'd been through all of it. And I forget exactly what the quote was, but I remember what the last quote was. And he said, no matter what we did, no matter what the plan was, no matter what malice, intent, and money was pumped behind it, he said, God always wins. That was his final quote. His memoir was, God always wins.
That's fucked, man.
That's crazy. So it gives you good hope no matter what. People want to be like, oh, the world's doom and gloom. Like, oh, look at, like, whatever your side of the argument is. They're like, oh, look at all these, white supremacists in the court. And then you're on the other side. You're a little more right wing. So you're like, look at all these fucking
communists.
Communists.
Everyone's either a communist or a Nazi nowadays.
Yeah, communist or a Nazi. That's what it is. And then you really, like, look at the large picture. Like, yo, man, like, I'm going to put myself in a position where I can effectively, financially, and socially change the issues I have a problem with. And I'm going to create a beautiful world for myself because the planet is a wonderful place. It really is. There's bad shit in it. There's bad shit everywhere. Imagine being a zebra. It's as an example, you know what I mean? You want to talk about the nature of things? Like a zebra's chilling one day and he gets mauled by a pack of lions. And he always has to live with that, like, possibility. You know what I mean? So there's good and bad everywhere.
You never see like a depressed zebra though. Hey?
Fuck no. Fuck no, man. Fucking zebra chilling, happy, making his fucking, I don't know.
Is that the noise they make?
I don't fucking know, man. I have no idea. But that's going to be a funny audio.
Fuck, dude.
You know what I mean? It's not all doom and gloom, man. There's a lot of opportunity. Money is the most readily available asset on the planet. And it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. I like that. It's funny how like everyone's looking to point the finger at like the right wing guys are like communists, and then the left wing guys are like fucking Nazis.
Yeah.
And you're like, you do understand that both of those ideologies just feed off of dividing society.
Literally,
Like,
it's like not a political. It's not a political spectrum. Like, it doesn't go like this. It's a circle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a political circle. and fucking both those extreme dummies on both ends just meet at the bottom.
Yeah,
and
to
fucking yell at
division.
each other
In
over
division.
a fence.
They're
Yeah,
just like literally, it's all about division.
yeah,
Either way, they're always trying to put someone else, because like the communists will, like if you want to view it that way, it's like the communists will always want to be like rich and poor, like class. They always want to divide everything into classes, and the Nazis are usually looking at like race and shit like that.
yeah.
And it's like, why are we always trying to put each other in boxes? Like it seems like it's only the bad guys that want to divide society.
The powers that be divide society very well. They do, because they attack people on their emotional scales. And humans are very emotional beings, and there's very little humans that can separate emotion from logic. That's just the way it is, man.
Yeah, it's kind of funny actually. When you say that, I remember literally in my first this is just a weird random tangent that I'll go on, but I like in my first I remember when I did sales training, that's what they would tell you is like humans make decision based off emotion, not logic.
It's true. They do.
So you have to make that emotional connection, but it's crazy how like social media algorithms and media work the opposite way. Like it's like they're just trying to feed off, cuz like when you're in sales, you want to get them to feel, you know, like how do you think you're going to feel? Like I remember when I used to sell personal training, like that was like the thing I used to say to people is like how do you think you're going to, like what kind of goals do you have? What kind of blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, you want to lose X amount of weight. Why is that? Oh, so you can pick up your daughter. Oh, so you can do this. Like how do you think you're going to feel when you're able to play catch with your son? Like all these things. And they're like, oh, you're like selling the dream, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like crazy how media and social media, all these things are the opposite. They're like selling you what happens if this person does that to you?
Yeah.
What happens if this does this? Like,
And they're
it's like selling the nightmare.
Oh yeah.
You're
yeah.
like scared and you're
just,
running from hell.
and people just fucking bite onto it like crazy, man. It sucks.
Even me, dude, I get into that shit sometimes
I
too.
used to be really bad for it. Yeah. Really bad for it myself. I'm happy I've pulled away from that a lot, but yeah, I used to be bad for it. Yeah.
Fucking nuts, dude. I think we're wrapping it up, man.
All right, brother.
That's another fucking 2 hours.
Damn, just like that. Fuck. It was good though, man. I like this one a lot. I flowed a lot better than last time I had fucking stage fright. I was like, I'm nervous.
Dude, it didn't show. I just edited it the other day and I was like, this is fucking sick.
Sick, nice. Okay,
So,
good. I'm happy.
Round 2 went well as well, man. I'm excited for round 3.
Hell yeah. We gotta get Tristan out here for the next one.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Tristan. Fuck yeah. The dude that actually he got me into jiu-jitsu. The guy that he even got me into competing. There was a time, I'll share the clip right now. We'll rewind back to it. But there's this time where, actually, no, it won't be right now. I'll explain it first. There's this time that he came on the podcast and he's like, literally said, you're going to compete on this day. And I'm like, I'll do it.
Yeah, that's what it's about, man.
Now you're going to see it.
That's so sick, man. Man, I'm so fucking excited too, just because,
Yo, your first competition's coming up, brother. How do you feel?
dude,
Let's go.
I love how you just out me like that.
Let's fucking go.
So Tristan's been talking. I actually, yeah, this will be out way before then, but yeah, Tristan's been talking me into competing. So I don't even know the details, but why don't you give me the details?
April 23rd, I believe it's in Langley. It's like Langley at Trinity Western University. So jiu-jitsu competition. It's going to be Mark's very first jiu-jitsu competition. But he's a 4th stripe white belt. Like, you have to get the competition experience before you go to blue belt. You don't want to go to be a fresh blue belt, get your first competition at blue belt. You got to get some competition experience at white belt, Mark.
Yeah.
You just got this.
You locked him in. Now he
Yeah.
has to do it.
He has
Okay,
to.
okay, yo, you have to coach me then. You have to.
1000%. I will
have
be
to
there. I'll
coach
coach you, and then you will watch me compete and coach me too.
Okay, real talk.
That's what I'm about. Let's go.
But yeah, dude, love that clip. But that's pretty much it, dude. I'll let you fucking go on your day, and I'm sure you got shit to do. I did a little bit of my chores. I still got a little bit of chores left to do and a little bit of editing, but fuck yeah, dude. Thank you so much for
driving
coming
to
through.
Prince George tomorrow morning, actually.
Yeah, I saw that you're going there for the week, right?
Yeah, no, not for the week, just 2 days. I can't stay in Prince George for a week, man. There's no way. Fuck that. Fuck that. I'm gonna go tomorrow. I'll leave at like 5 a.m. I do a seminar, and then I'll hang out with some of the old friends from back in the day. See mom, my tax lady actually lives there. So yeah, I got some chores to take care of myself, and then I'll get back here quickly on Tuesday.
Fuck yeah, dude. Do you need to promote anything? You need to plug anything? You want to tell people where they can find you or what you're up to or how they can train with you?
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I'm at a Factory Fresh Jiu-Jitsu 7 days a week. I also do some home calls where I'm totally open, always going to teach at other schools, other academies. I'm open to speaking at events. Like you need a motivational speaker, I gotta come in, talk about some real shit. Obviously, I have some good experience on coming through bad things, so I'm totally open to that as well. You can reach me at Little Child BJJ on Instagram. Yeah, man, I'm super easy, always answering DMs, easy to get a hold of, and I'm always ready to network with new people and make some new connections, man. So if there's something I can do for you, don't be afraid to reach out. It would be my pleasure.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love it. Mad love, bro. And I love all you fucking freaks as well.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Get out and enjoy your fucking day.
100%.